Hi, I'm Kevin Drinkall.
Hi, and I'm Michel Nicolai, and we welcome you to Sizone Networks podcast.
We've been in the network industry for over 15 years, and in these podcasts we want to try and untangle the world of networking, debunk some of those myths, explain some real-world examples along the way, to help you make better choices about selecting the right tech, product, and even help you guys build faster, more reliable, scalable networks, or just to keep your kids happy at home.
Well, welcome back for another podcast, and in today's, we're going to talk about Wi-Fi 8, maybe a little bit of Wi-Fi 7, and maybe some of the history around some Wi-Fi to understand about what's coming, how it's going to be, and what it affects you. Today, we've got our Wi-Fi resident again, Hugh
Welcome
Simpson.
It's great. Back to talk about my favourite subject.
Wi-Fi.
Good to have you in. Good to have you in, man.
Football.
Part of football. Although it is World Cup year, so fantastic. We'll definitely be doing something around World Cup.
Okay, so before we get started, maybe we should take a little bit of a step back before, because now we hear rumbles of Wi-Fi 8 approaching the market. You know, much like we did Wi-Fi 7 many years ago. What does that mean? I mean, that's what we should really talk about, right? And I think before we go into what is Wi-Fi 8, maybe we should understand about what the journey has been to, you know, through Wi-Fi 7, understanding what is actually in Wi-Fi 7, what it actually does, and have a little bit of a techie update, right?
Yeah, and I think set the expectations right, yeah, when you can really expect these things to happen, yeah? Because as you said, there are a lot of rumbles going on, but I think it's good that we give some more clarity about that.
Yeah, so let's look at Wi-Fi 7, okay? So what does it bring us today, right? Because it's been around a number of years, and you're absolutely right. You know, the noise is working, the jungle drums are going. Wi-Fi 8, there's people out there who have proven Wi-Fi 8. Have they really proven it, or have they just done the underlying? Because actually, it's fundamentally the same.
Get rid of the myth.
Yeah. So let's have a look. Wi-Fi 7, what did it bring? It gave us 320 megahertz channels in the 6 gigahertz range frequency. So again, an improvement from the old 6, etc., which was 160 megahertz to 320. So fantastic. Double the bandwidth. But warning, only use this in the 6 gigahertz, okay? And realistically within Europe, still stick to your 160. It's fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, you see this in consumable products like, you know, like home routers and stuff. But in the business environment, this is just, I mean, it's plain and simple. Not it's not something you would ever really use.
Yeah,
right?
We wouldn't really use it. So that's one of them. Okay, next one, 4K QAM. Okay, not going to go into the modulation and how it's built and how it's done, but realistically, we were on 1K QAM, now we're on 4K QAM, so of course we get better throughput.
Compression. Great.
Yeah, so we get better throughput.
Yeah.
But again, you've got to be quite close to your routers and your access points to really achieve this high
and have the benefit of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. For those people who don't understand, I mean, we don't want to go into too technical, but just basically crammed more into the same transmission space in the air, right? So that you get more data throughput in the same space. So that was about bringing efficiency from the old Wi-Fi 6 to the Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah. But the real star, okay, the real benefit of Wi-Fi 7, and I can't, you should be running all the time. It's like turbo button, etc.
Remember those in the day, right? On the PC, you pressed the turbo button. You went from 100 to 120 megahertz.
Is MLO, multi-link operation, right? And you should be running this where you possibly can. So this is the aggregation of frequencies. So yes, you might be limited down to 40, 80, 160 megahertz channels, but it actually allows you to aggregate those together. Of course, there's an overhead to that. So you don't just add the two together, but ultimately gives us a lot more bandwidth.
Yeah, but is it only speed? I think reliability,
redundancy,
is a really good thing. Yeah.
And density. I think the biggest advantage to Wi-Fi 7 over its predecessor is by far the amount of devices you can connect in the same space efficiently. Right. So you might not necessarily see the speed, but you'll it will feel faster for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
And finally, you've got other, there are other features, etc. But another one of the, the top 4, would I say, is puncturing, okay, and support for that. So if there is interference in your frequency, we can operate around that interference. And
to have a higher bandwidth,
and it gives you that resilience to that environment. So again, what does Wi-Fi 7 bring? Really brings you speed and aggregation.
So in the end, it's bringing more efficiency in the air, right? So, and obviously you're able to deliver to much high density, and that's where we were able to break that 1 gig barrier in as well, right? So
yeah, no, absolutely. So again, 10 gig on access points is now being seen out there, right?
Our flagship products have 10 gig, right? So it's absolutely it's there.
So Wi-Fi 8. What does it really bring, or what is it? Okay, so let's have a look. So it is 802.11bn standard. So that's the first thing. So obviously
that's the official name, isn't it?
That's the official name. Of course, we just badge it Wi-Fi 8 because no one remembers whether it's BN, BE, AX, whatever it might be. Yeah. Okay, so again,
us nerds do.
Yeah, and you'll probably see, a WBN access point coming out in the future, right? So it will be important to us. But what is it about? Focuses on coordination, multi-AP intelligence, and efficiency within the air.
But hang on. Weren't they meant to be in Wi-Fi 7 standard originally? Those things were, right?
There was, of course, a number of these things that were meant to be in Wi-Fi 7. And if you wanted to be a little bit more accurate in that, the Wi-Fi 7 R2. But of course, history, learning, background, etc. means they've learned.
I remember the multi-AP coordination was originally a part of the Wi-Fi 7 standard. But, this was something that was going to come, like you say, in the Release 2 version. And, this was, I remember in the very beginning when we started talking about Wi-Fi 7 itself, same way we're talking about Wi-Fi 8 now, right? I think they, like you say, they really learned from their lesson where, the Wild West of five, where they just had so many draft, versions of N, right? And turbo and all sorts of weird and wonderful things.
And even in wave 1 and wave 2,
it's so confusing for customers. Yeah, it's much easier to put a number on it. Yeah, and they know that's the next one
and
in
a
line.
New standard. Yeah, absolutely,
exactly.
And
it gives much more clarity.
So I'm totally in agreement with them, and the fact that the Wi-Fi standards, and the fact that if you can't fit it in the timescale, you can't get it there into the standard.
Move it out
to the next release.
To the next one. Yeah.
And allow these releases to come more efficiently in a better timescale, right?
Yeah, it was pretty ambitious.
We're saying now.
It was pretty ambitious to get the multi-AP coordination stuff working, right?
So that is one of the main things, and that is multiple access points can coordinate and act like a mini cell, right? So you can communicate and talk, or multiple access points can talk to the same client at the same time. Now, of course, let's be very clear on this. This will rely on the client being able to support this as well. So a lot of your legacy devices, let's go right back to Wi-Fi 2, 3, 4 devices, aren't probably going to see the benefit in this.
Well, until you have the last one.
Or not even Wi-Fi 7 devices.
No,
exactly.
No.
So it means even when Wi-Fi 8 is introduced, there will be a lag behind. I mean, when Wi-Fi 7 was released, that was one of the benefits, that there were devices available at the same time as the launch of Wi-Fi 7. But I get the feeling that Wi-Fi 8, because of this multi-AP coordination is going to be very complicated to deploy in a chip, in a device.
Yeah, and the other things that it enhances, etc., and what the features that they're putting into Wi-Fi 8 is to dramatically reduce the latency. That is a big key target. So Wi-Fi 7 gave you the speed. Wi-Fi 8 is to give you the reliability, multi-AP, and reduce the latency.
So technically then, roaming will be a thing of the past, right? Because if you have AP coordination, the roaming process...
What the term seamless might actually be seamless.
So we'll go back to the blanket style technology.
Finally. We're getting there.
None of that is so fast you might not notice.
Yeah. But that's where we're trying to get to, and again, why is that more useful? We're seeing technology really started to use the bandwidth, but ultimately now they're needing that latency. And if you speak to any gamer out there, it is all about latency.
All about latency.
They don't care about anything else. It's all about the ping response, the latency that they have.
Especially when you do VR or AR kind of things, then Wi-Fi speed
it's going to be even
key.
more important.
Yeah, all the robotics and the AI functionality and tools like that. All these tools, right? And even like you say, like even down to industrial automation, right? This is all things that they are started to rely on having extremely low latency. But one thing we should still remember is that Wi-Fi 7 did give us better improved latency already.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It gave us definitely a benefit upon Wi-Fi 6 and the earlier standards. Again, with the speed that Wi-Fi 7 gave us, it did improve that latency. Again, probably by you having better speed meant you can carry more data, more users, etc. Gave us that efficiency within the latency.
But will there be? I mean, in Wi-Fi 8, then are they going to be improvements in any of the spectrum efficiency or anything like that from over Wi-Fi 7?
Yeah, it will do. Absolutely. Be more efficient in the MIMO technology. So that's multiple users, etc. handling. It will give us better utilization on the 6 gigahertz space. So again, really starting to use that frequency that we've been given. Again, I would say the US guys they have the full frequency.
Yeah, we only have the half of it in Europe.
And it's not looking good, right? So there you are.
No, there's lots of debate still about it.
Yeah, and the mobile guys are really wanting and fighting for that 6 gig, that top range of 6 gig. So whether we'll get the full 6 gigahertz, so again, will be an interesting conversation. But that is probably another podcast, maybe.
Absolutely.
Smarter interference avoidance, again, utilizing the multi-AP coordination will give us that benefit.
Yeah,
if we do have interference on one, we've got communication to another.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits I saw over this, I mean, this was actually part of the Wi-Fi 7 standard originally.
Oh, yeah.
Was that if even an adjacent AP that was not yours, they had in the protocol that it would talk to each other to avoid the spectrum, and move around the interference and stuff.
But it does mean they all need to be Wi-Fi 8.
It does mean that, yes.
Otherwise they can't communicate.
And even your neighbours has to be Wi-Fi 8.
Exactly.
So, absolutely. And
so over time,
we will start seeing that. And that's, again, it's about the time. Right, let's not forget that. Let's put that in our mindset and think about timing on this. What does it really bring? Well, Wi-Fi 7 is fast, right? Wi-Fi 8 will be faster, as fast, but in a chaotic room. Okay?
And give much more stability because of that roaming part.
Of course.
But like you say, there will be this timing element where we need to wait for the Wi-Fi 8 client devices and several Wi-Fi 8 APs to be aligned, right?
Timing is going to be key into a lot of this.
But that's we have every time when we have a new standard, When we have Wi-Fi 7, people need to adopt from 6 to 7. And this again, we need to wait until everything is moving to 8.
So of course that brings the question, the big question. Should I or should you wait for Wi-Fi 8? Okay, I'm a full supporter of Wi-Fi 7, by the way, fully installed. I use it all the time.
Yeah, same here.
I had one of the, I had the Google Pixel 8 on day one when it came out, so I could utilize Wi-Fi 7. Love it. It's great. But should you or should your users wait for Wi-Fi 8?
If you look at our customer base, the typical SMB customers, are they looking for that kind of speed or whatever?
They will always be.
They're looking for reliability, that it's there, that it operates well, everything.
There will always be some early adopters in every technology, of course, right?
But the majority needs a reliable...
Let's answer it quickly. No, they shouldn't wait.
Agree.
Long answer.
Absolutely not.
Still no.
What did we talk about, right? We just didn't talk just about the APs. We talked about
the whole solution. The whole solution
is Wi-Fi. We're only just catching up with Wi-Fi 7 clients, right? So when are these Wi-Fi 8 clients going to
fix this first?
This is a long way out, right? So, And what does Wi-Fi 7 do? It brings us the speed. That's what everybody's looking for, and the reliability. Wi-Fi 7 gives us that, right? So it gives us the better throughputs. It gives us the MLO. It gives us the puncture in it, etc. So it fixes most of the problems that we see today. Okay, but
then is the question: who really is looking for Wi-Fi 8? Yeah,
I would. Yeah, and at the moment. Really at the moment in those very, very noisy, as we talked about, that chaotic noise, etc., that goes around, the interference that is out there, high density enterprise deployments.
But even today, you wouldn't be able to leverage from them, right? Even now, because today, for example, the multi-AP coordination and all those kind of functions, right now, the beginning of 2026, there is a few odd chips that are available for, like Broadcom is doing the chip for Wi-Fi 8, right? It doesn't have those features in it at the minute. And it's the same as what we've had in the past is technically some of those functions won't be able to be done by software. They will probably need a version 2 of the chip, right? So taking it at this point, even in a lab, there's no benefit over speed, right? So the speed is the same. Maybe you can improve some latency, but in a lab condition, maybe. In the real world, you won't see anything, right? So,
and again, it's on the AP. Yeah, what we need is a client.
Of course, in airports, stadiums, where the density and they want to be in front, maybe they could take advantage of that right now. But the clients won't see the advantage. It will be more about the efficiency of managing the AP.
It's better to get those older Wi-Fi access points, the 3s, the 4s, etc., and get them upgraded to Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's here and now and available in lots of formats, in lots of styles that are out there. So again, those are the important parts. Would I upgrade to from Wi-Fi 6 to 7? Yeah, there's still a good call because we get utilization of the 6 gigahertz. We get that MLO functionality.
Exactly.
So we get that kind of turbo thing. There is always need to do that.
And of course, that includes 6E, because people sometimes miss that little one in the middle and they think it's the same because it's got 6 gigahertz in it. But actually, it doesn't have any of that MLO or any of the advantage of the Wi-Fi 7.
The QAM or the 320 or any of that.
So if you are looking at today at 6E because you think, it's got 6 gigahertz in it. So 7 has way more functionality and reliability and the potential to give you the real delivery that you want over. So it's not just about the 6 gigahertz part, right? It's about the actual standard and the...
Yeah, but also people misunderstand that Wi-Fi 7 is automatically tri-band.
Yeah, no,
doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be. Yeah, you can do Wi-Fi 7 on dual band.
Well, in fact, in some countries, you can't even use 6 gigahertz.
Of course.
So, in some parts of Asia, it's not actually available. So we actually, we have APs that only have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz radio in Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah.
So it can leverage the standard, but maybe perhaps it doesn't. Well, it can't use the 6 gigahertz.
Exactly. Yeah.
So finally, let's talk about timing. Okay. Ultimately, we've seen, there is rumors out there, there is testing from Broadcom, etc., of Wi-Fi 8, but we still haven't kind of finalized the standard. So 2026, we'll see the standard finalized. That kind of caps it. That tells you what's in and what's out. What might be moved to Wi-Fi 9, right? Or Wi-Fi 10 or Wi-Fi 11.
Whatever,
This is not the end of it, right? This is just the next version, okay? So that kind of, we cap that. We will start seeing, we have started seeing the draft chipsets already come out. We will see further drafts come out from other Qualcomm, other MediaTek, etc. We will see those silicons come out from the suppliers. When will we see the standard finalization? Okay, the standard is meant to be finalized or ratified.
Maybe the end of the year. Yeah.
No, it'd be ratified in 2027.
Yeah, okay.
So the ratification, so the final standard will be there. It will be 2027. It'll probably be towards the end, maybe 28.
But can we already expect products in 2027?
I mean,
Of course, we will see because the standard has been finalised. It then means you can then produce and then you can build those towards that finalisation.
But is that already for business applications like VR, or is it more in a consumer kind of?
At the beginning, I think when you like all standards, actually, to be honest with you, in the past, historically, the consumer product, the higher end consumer product,
okay,
normally sees the chip first.
You know, the silicon providers will always chase, you know, the mass production, the mass route, etc. They will always go for that.
Yeah, and also in a business environment, I would say the challenges are different. So the chipset required to deliver in business is often much.
Yeah, multi-AP coordination. When you're looking at that from a white consumer point of view, that means you've got to have more than one device, yeah?
At least, yeah.
So,
as in the router or the Wi-Fi access point.
Or your repeaters, etc.
Yeah.
So again, then you know, the consumer side, they don't need to get that feature or support that functionality.
2027, will probably the first one when you see some products available.
I would expect
truly on Wi-Fi 8.
Yeah, I would expect to see it towards the end of this year, maybe in more testing, but 2027, 28.
So before, don't look at it, stay out of it, and focus on the current Wi-Fi 7.
So you've got, realistically, until we start seeing product, you know, wireless access points, you've got whole at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years for that. Now, are you going to wait 2 or 3 years for that upgrade?
No.
We don't do it for phones, right?
No, we don't do that.
New iPhone comes out. There you are. I've got to have the latest and greatest, and that will again happen. So
yeah, like you say, you always find those early adopters, right, who are going to take that tech at the beginning.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned there, you know, maybe the advantage of the multi-AP coordination will be put into like a mesh system, right? Which will be advantageous to homes, right?
Yeah.
But you try to scale that out into business where you need more than just 3 or 4 units. It will become very complicated, and that's where, you know, the business or the enterprise style delivery means completely different approach, right?
Yeah.
And so I, like you and yourself, you both mentioned, it's more of a long-term, still, even now, it's a long-term approach, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, let's be honest, for 2026, we should live and breathe Wi-Fi 7 all day long. You know, Wi-Fi 8, of course, will be there. Like I said, Wi-Fi 9, you've heard it first, right? Wi-Fi 9 will be there, right? It will be out there in some form and some standard. And that also goes for 10 and 11, etc. So are you willing? Are your customers willing? Is anybody willing to wait for those later technologies and hold back? You know, it's 2 years away, guys.
Well, people are still installing Wi-Fi 6 when they should really be installing Wi-Fi 7 now, right?
Exactly.
So when you see that, right? I mean,
because
you could argue that it still works okay, right?
And absolutely, because it still works. It's reliable, and everybody knows it. And it's that trusted, reliable standard Wi-Fi 6. And again, it will be here. Wi-Fi 6 isn't going to die overnight. Right.
But I can imagine if you invest in new products that you would say, okay, I invest in the latest that's available, and Wi-Fi 7 is the latest one that you can buy at the moment.
And that would be, let's be realistic, that I would love everybody to do that. That's not always the case.
No, that's not always the case.
And actually, like I say, you know, and again, when we look at the upgrade from those older technologies into Wi-Fi 7, if my older device is working and it does the job that you need it to do, in the environment that it is currently in,
that's important. Yeah.
Then it does the job.
Yeah.
Of course, you can just hold off.
So, final verdict then. So, I would say people don't realize how many devices they actually have at home. And I think Wi-Fi 7 gives them a lot of benefit on a number of devices.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I know for myself, I've got 3 boys, right? I mean, we must have over 100 devices, right? So,
yeah. And when you start bringing in all the smart home that you've got as well, Kev, and all that latest tech that you can afford and run, it's good, right?
Absolutely.
Good to have Wi-Fi 7.
It is while it works, and then when the lights don't come on, and you have to go and unplug things in the switching cabinet, right?
Absolutely. All been there, all done that.
Yeah, that's right.
And we'll continue doing it.
So, and also, so Wi-Fi 8, I think, like you say, is very much focused on this coordination. It's took a lot of what was in the original Wi-Fi 7 standard, moved it into another standard, which, like we discussed, is the right thing to do. We don't want to go back to the days of Wi-Fi 5 or N draft where it was complete Wild West. And if those of you are interested, we actually did another podcast completely on the history of Wi-Fi. Obviously, it doesn't cover Wi-Fi 8, but, if you're upgrading today, I think, like Hugh said, the sweet spot really is Wi-Fi 7. That sort of complements everything that we have today. The devices are there to support it. It has enough to support the previous generations of devices, gives you the advantage of the density of number of devices that you now input onto your network. And you're going to wait for Wi-Fi 8. And when it releases, like most cases, it probably will be at the higher end of the price point anyway, because often when the chipset manufacturers like Qualcomm, Broadcom, MediaTek, even those guys, is often the highest end product that they bring out first, and then they refine it and then make a more affordable version, and then models at different price points in the market as well. So Wi-Fi 7, horsepower. Wi-Fi 8, clean driving, synchronized traffic.
Fewer crashes. This won't be the end of our conversation about Wi-Fi 8. I'm sure there will be further podcasts as we go through the year talking about it, mentioning it, as things progress, etc. Like say, I don't expect us not to be talking about Wi-Fi 9 in the near future.
No, absolutely not.
But that's 2027's podcast already.
Is that the prediction?
Yeah, that's the prediction. Yeah.
We should have added that one to the other podcast, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining.
Yeah, thank you for participating in the explanation on Wi-Fi 8.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, absolutely.
Interesting
Happy to be
times.
here.
Yeah, I think interesting times with Wi-Fi. All right. So Wi-Fi 8, Wi-Fi 7. So, and like I say, if you do need advice as well, speak to our guys in our offices. And we've got, guys across the globe. So easy for you to touch base with and ask for advice on what technologies fit your environment as well. So, okay, I think that should be it for today. So thank you all for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and hopefully to see you on the next podcast.
Thank you.